Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, millions of Americans find themselves stuck. They thought they were ready to retire, and then all of a sudden the stock market took a dive, and now they're back in the workplace. We're going to be talking with a leading national expert next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
So the time to buy an umbrella is not when it starts raining. You should have bought that umbrella a long time ago. But when it comes to retirement savings, many Americans are just waiting too late to begin that journey. To talk about that today, Randy Jones. He's a good friend and financial advisor. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jeff.
Yeah. So how often do you come to this conversation with a couple? They come into your office and they show you their finances, and you have to break the bad news. You guys cannot afford to retire.
It does happen, hopefully not as often as some people think. I think sometimes when we have that type of conversation, we're able to say, okay, let's not look about what, talk about what we didn't do. Let's talk about what we can do from this point moving forward. And there's usually a way to close the gaps in any of the holes that most people have. We have to be realistic, but then people accept, okay, here's going to be the best situation we can create.
Sure, and time is obviously so magic. If you begin saving when you're in college and putting away $10, $20 per paycheck, by the time you're 65 or 70 or whenever you want to retire, you've got a nice little nest egg, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I often tell people that you won't become wealthy from investing, but you will become wealthy from savings, and then we take a small portion of our savings and enhance it through investing. So savings is key.
Sure.
To everything.
Tell us about your investing strategy. Couple comes in, they're in their 50s and they haven't saved enough. What kind of advice are you giving that couple?
Typically when I'm, in that scenario, I would first see, do they have some type of nest egg or reserve fund? Because I think the one thing that's constant in everybody's life is the unexpected. And I think so many people are focused on, how can I get a rate of return in the market? And I often tell people, look, you can't control what happens in the market. What we don't want to do is try to be stock pickers or, time the market. Everybody knows we should buy low and sell high, but most of the time people sell low and buy high, because emotions. They say the market gives an average rate of return of 10%, but investment return can be right around 3.1% because of emotion. So I tell people, hey, we're going to talk about what we can control and not try to figure out how we're going to beat the market, because that can be a lot of waste of time.
And I find that the day-to-day gyrations of the market are very unsettling because the media is either hyping or, it's almost like watching one play of a football game.
Right.
And Tom Brady gets sacked, and then judging the entire performance of the game on one play, isn't it?
Yeah. That's why we often tell people, hey, what we want to do is, we don't invest based on rates of return, but access and control. When will you need the money? So if you don't need the money for 13 years, what difference does the market make today if it's down or up? And I think when you start to focus people around the things that they're really important, when do they need the money, then the stress of what's happening right now doesn't affect what's going to happen later on.
And you've become a national expert. Every time I turn around, you're on the news. We've got a little clip of you. I think this is Fox 5 in Washington, D.C., which is where you're from. What does it feel like to talk to the media?
It's great. It's great to be able to share, your expertise. It's great to be able to share, your viewpoint. And a lot of my clients and people have said, hey, Randy, you should get your message out there because you're saying something different than money. You're talking about a bigger or a different type of asset outside of the material ones, the intellectual ones, the physical ones, the ethical ones. And I think people mistake that, we have more than just that one asset, money.
I was on your website and I found a quote. It says, "As a former combat medic, I was once told medicine is not designed to heal you; it's designed to sustain you." Tell me what that means.
So when I was in the Army years ago, I was a combat medic as well as a nurse in the VA hospital. And my instructor said to us, students, let me tell you, medicine is not designed to heal you. It is designed to sustain you. And I thought that was really crazy. But a lot of times the information out here about finance is not designed to create financial freedom. It's designed to create financial maintenance, just enough for us to keep going. Here's a great example. When I would talk to people, I said, by a show of hands, who would consider themselves an educated or a smart consumer? And people would raise their hand. And then I would click the slide and I would say, look at the definition. The consumer, one who exhausts, devastates, wastes, does not cherish, squanders. And everybody would be go, wow. And see, I would often tell them, you thought you were drinking the Kool-Aid, but a lot of times we're inside of the cup. It is not financial information that we need. I often provide financial awareness, an awakening to the information that we already know. And I think that is what that statement really means. It's not what you think it is. And it's not wrong, it's just not accurate. And so I tell people we got to think differently.
And I find that there's a little bit of a victim mentality in America where we're always pointing fingers and say, hey, if it wasn't for the Fed, if it wasn't for the president, if it wasn't for this. But your advice to couples is take control of your finances.
Right.
And it really doesn't matter what Wall Street is doing. It doesn't matter who's in the White House.
When it comes to building a financial plan, there are only two things we can control. One is our savings rate, and two, where we put our money. And your money can only exist in three worlds: a taxable, a tax-deferred, and a tax-free world. And a lot of times when I ask people, which one would you choose? They all say tax-free. And I say, but which one are you doing? And they say taxable and tax-deferred. And I say, well, why is it that you're doing something different than what you just said you would do? And I didn't show you any white papers or charts. And they said, we just didn't know. So I think a lot of people don't know what they don't know. And I say too much of anything is not good. So having balance in all three of them. I give an example. When I was a kid, my first car, I would drive to 60 miles an hour and the wheel would shake. And my father would say, your car can't go as fast when it's out of balance. And I let my clients know your money can't grow as fast when it's out of balance.
Wow, that's really powerful. Okay, we've only got a couple minutes left. What are some final thoughts you'd like to leave people with?
Well, I think what you should do is focus on right now, not yesterday. Don't worry about the highs and the lows of the market, because there have been plenty of people who've made money in down times and plenty of people who've made money in up times. And I often say the ones, when the market is down, we should all be rushing out there to participate in it. I often would say, how come Black Friday is a bad thing, or a good thing after Thanksgiving, but a bad thing when it comes to the market? Everything is on sale. But I think if we can learn to create some type of plan and a system, we can sort of remove the emotion out of it and sort of be able to live life the way that we want to and not spend most of it focused on our money.
Wow. That's great words of wisdom. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We're going to end with your website, which is realrandyjones.com. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.